For those who've been following along, I've made some natural wild fermented mead in one of my previous videos and put it in the fridge. And so this is what happens. It's cold crash, it's stopped fermentation. There's sediment from the strawberries on the bottom as well as some big floating strawberries on top. Now obviously it's unfiltered. In a large meadery with a big tank, you'd have a lot more separation of the liquid and the fruit. Obviously with this one, I had a lot of fruit for the amount of jar I had, but it's going to come out with a beautiful strawberry flavor, of course. And this does not have dead yeast, or it has a lot of dead yeast on the bottom, but there's still living yeast, floating around. It's not 100% clear, but it's clear enough to enjoy for a home brew. If it was a big commercial meadery, obviously we'd have a lot easier time siphoning off the liquid to actually get a cold brew, and we'd actually rack it a couple more times just to make sure the residual yeast in there has settled to the bottom, and you don't have to worry so much about the cloud. Now I'm drinking this myself. It's not for commercial or competition use, so I'm just going to enjoy it, and it's going to be delicious. But here, so you can pour it through a strainer, or you can just pour it directly in your glass and enjoy, and that's what I'm going to do. So just kind of pour it off. So as you saw before, I just added local honey from the farmer's market, and I had some strawberries from the farmer's market well over at Piedmont. I just mashed them, threw them in, and now I've got this glass of wine. It's going to have a little residual carbon dioxide from the fermentation, because as you remember, I just closed the jar and put it in the fridge when I got down to the amount of sugar that I, my own personal preference. So when it's in the fridge, it's going to continue fermenting and produce a little bit more bubble before it finally goes into hibernation. And it might take a few hours, might take 24 hours, depending on your temperature of your fridge and what kind of natural wild yeast you've got. Some yeast will keep fermenting down to 40 degrees. Some will stop at 60. So it kind of depends on your yeast. This is incredibly good. Nice, kind of off dry. It's got beautiful flavor, very light effervescence to it. Extremely refreshing. I mean, this is an incredibly good, delicious mead. It's got hardly any faults in it. As you know, when you ferment something wild, it can sour if you leave it open and for too long. Since this was cold crashed right when it got to the desired sweetness, it's ready to drink, ready to enjoy. Of course, it's going to be a little cloudy. If that's something you don't care about, like me, I think it adds flavor. I think it adds mouthfeel and a little bit of just a hometown feel. You know this is a natural mead and you made it yourself and you enjoy it. If you're doing this in competition, I would recommend using either stabilizers or filtering your mead if that's something that you're more interested in. But our unfiltered lavender dry mead at the last Mazer Cup got third place for the dried herbal meads. So clearly, if you just rack it a few times, it can get clear enough to still do medal in competitions. So that's the scoop. Thanks for enjoying wild mead with me. All right, have fun, y'all.